Who here thinks that they know what their purpose in life is? This is the deal. I think a lot of us, when we go to school, when we hang out with our friends, and tell me if you feel this way. Sometimes we feel like we are purposeless. Or sometimes we don't know what our purpose is. I know people who think that they have all these gifts and talents. They think that they're the best basketball player, that they're meant to be in the NBA. They think that they're the best artist, the best musician, all of these things. And some of you guys, and tell me if this is true, some of you guys think that you have no skills or no talents. I remember growing up, I thought I was going to be in the NBA. A lot of you guys know that. Obviously, I am not in the NBA, but that's what I thought my purpose was. I remember specifically on a camping trip when I was your age, my youth pastor said, I want you guys to write down on this rock what the most meaningful thing is to you. And I put a cross, and then I put a basketball. And I'm like, look, it's pretty cool, you know, a cross and basketball, and thinking that that was my purpose. And then when I got older, I realized I wasn't going to be in the NBA. And then I thought maybe my purpose was girls. That I was going to be like this Mac Daddy. And I know girls, you guys know of guys, maybe even in this room but at school, that probably think the same thing, right? That they think that their purpose is that they were here because they were the ideal boyfriend for anyone who would be like lucky enough to have him. I really thought that. And I had this huge crush on this girl my freshman year in college. And I was going to tell her that I loved her. Or tell her that I liked her, okay? And so I think things are going well, and I'm thinking, you know, when you're reading the signs, if they like me or if they don't like me, and you're kind of like, what did you, they looked at me, and I was psycho. Like, what I would do, I would find out what their schedule was, her schedule, and I would, like, bump into her, like I would sprint out of my door, bump into her, hey, you're going this way, me too, I mean, that's so cool. What a small world. I would do that all the time, and it was literally crazy. So finally, you know what? I'm pretty sure she's into me, because after all, my purpose is for girls on this life. I'm going to go tell her how I feel. And if you're a guy, this is probably one of the worst things you could ever hear from from a girl you like. I said, hey, can I tell you something? And this is what she responded. You can tell me anything. You're like a brother to me. And I was thinking, well, if this were Kentucky, that would be kind of cool, you know? Like, maybe we still have a chance. But that my heart literally just like imploded. And I quickly realized my purpose for that whole year of college, my purpose was purposeless because I was chasing after something that never existed. I was chasing after this girl. I was chasing this idea of love, thinking that this was going to bring me all this happiness, only to find out that it was meaningless. Have you guys ever been there? Yeah. Where you thought, like, this is my purpose. Oh man, maybe this was this year. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to be like the funniest person in my class. And you go in and you say one bad joke and you get embarrassed and you don't have the nerve and you're like, things, you know? So, this is what the Bible says in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are His workmanship. Who is His? God. We are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. God said, I'm going to create you, and I'm going to create you to do good. To do good works. And that brings up a whole other question. What in the world does it mean to be good? Is good defined by the world? Is good defined by the law? Is it good defined by what you think good is? By just your own morals? 100 years ago, it was considered bad if you were a girl and you showed your bare ankles. A lot of you guys would be in trouble, right? Literally. So, are you saying that right now all you flip-flop wearing girls are bad? So, what does that mean? Does that mean that good? Does that mean that good evolves with time, of what good and bad is? I had a motorcycle. Does my cool status go up at all, or is it just like a weird image of a dork on a motorcycle? And I lived in New Hampshire, and when I lived in New Hampshire, you don't need to wear a helmet. So I would go and I let my skin blow in the wind. And as soon as I got to the Massachusetts border, I would pull over and I'd put my helmet on. So was I bad or good for wearing a helmet or not wearing a helmet? It was defined by the law. So we can't base our opinions on what good and bad is by what the law says. We can't base it by what other people are saying, what society is saying, because society is saying, oh, your ankles are showing that you're bad. Oh, so who defines good? And then people are like, you know what? I define good from what I think good is. And I'll tell you what, I know some really crazy, wacko people. Yesterday, what did we celebrate? 9/11.
Celebrate.
What did we remember? 9/11. Those guys who did that horrid thing in hitting the Twin Towers, they thought that they were doing good. So if it's defined by what you personally think is good, then you know what? It's like, all right, then they were good. Is that true or false? Who here would say that was a good thing? No one. Because it wasn't. So then we have to redefine what good is. So good isn't necessarily what we think it is. Good is what God thinks it is. And what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to do good works? And I got news for you guys. We're all born bad people. We were born purposefully, but yet we all were born with sin in our lives. And a lot of you guys are like, what? Me? I talk, please, I'm good. No. We are all born. However, God has created us to do good works. How are we supposed to do good works? Using our gifts and talents. We all have different gifts and talents. Some of you guys are thinking, I have none. Others are thinking, which one should I choose? I mean, I do this, and and then in Romans chapter 12, verse 6. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. Anybody here get a Christmas present that they were like in love with and used it for a whole day and then never touched it again? You know what I'm talking about? Actually, for me, that happened to me this Christmas. I got a helicopter. It was awesome. You know, I picked up one of those things that fly around, and I'm like, woo! I'm like flying around Ellie's head and all that. After a week, I didn't have to use it. And I was so pumped. And so it's one of these things where, like, you know, here's a gift that was given to me that I don't use. And God has given you guys all gifts. Some of them are gifts of, simple gifts of being nice, being hospitable. Some of you guys have gifts of being athletic. Some of you guys are funny. Some of you guys aren't funny. Some of you guys are super smart. Some of you guys have the gift of caring. That you guys would do anything for someone else. These are all gifts that God has given to you. And God's like, I want to give you a gift. And I want you to use it. And I want you to use it to build my kingdom. I want you to use it to serve me. And you're thinking, well, I don't want to be a servant. Who wants to be a servant, right? I'll tell you what. Because we were purposely made and we were purposely made to serve God, when we are doing that, we're doing what we're intended to do. Does that make sense? Because we were born to serve God, therefore when we are serving God, we are doing what we were intended to do. Therefore, anything other than that, we're not in God's will. We're not in God's plan. And a lot of you guys feel kind of crappy about it when that happens. And you should, because you're out of God's will. But when you are serving God, and a lot of you guys think, I don't want to serve God, it seems boring, it seems kind of stupid. I'll tell you what, if you are serving God and you're doing what God has intended you to do, there's no better joy in the world. There's no better joy in the world knowing that you are fitting perfectly into God's plan and you are using the gifts that He has given you to build His kingdom. And when you do that, there's no better joy. Now there's a difference between joy and happy, because happy is just what we think happy is. Joy is a pure bliss. Does that mean things are going to happen that may be bad or may be unfortunate? Absolutely. That doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. But joy doesn't mean perfect. Joy means joy. So that's my challenge to you guys. For all you guys who think your purpose in life is to be successful, to be funny, to be all these things, all right? Those are your gifts to serve for God's greater purpose. I ran across this video.
Tom Brady, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, is not only one of the NFL's best players, he's one of the NFL's great stories. At the tender age of 30, he has already won 3 Super Bowls, an accomplishment that ranks him with some of the best quarterbacks ever to play the game. And he's having one of the greatest seasons in pro football history. When we first reported on him back in 2005, he seemed underrated and almost overlooked. He doesn't have the arm of Peyton Manning, he doesn't have tattoos, and he doesn't take steroids, and he's never held out for more money. All he knows how to do is win.
This is what you always wanted. You're right, yeah. And I didn't think it came with all the other baggage, though.
In addition to his success on the field and his sex appeal off it, there is also the $60 million 10-year contract to play with the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm making more money now than I ever thought I could ever make playing football.
But with all that money, fame, and career accomplishments, we were surprised to hear this from him.
Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think there's something greater out there for me? I mean, a lot of people would say, hey man, this is what it is. I reached my goal, my dream, my life is, man, I think it's got to be more than this. What's the answer? I wish I knew. I wish.
A lot of us right now would probably have that answer. And that's what I want you guys to go away with in small group right now, is to kind of talk about this.